What's going on, everybody? Welcome in week 3, main slate college football breakdown. Got DOB and Josh back again. So, how y'all feeling about this week?
What's up, y'all? It's definitely an interesting slate. A lot of good spots. Got a second to look before it came on there. But we'll definitely get into some of these spots here, some sneaky spots and some stands you got to take with lineup construction. And yeah, what do you got, Josh?
I feel like West Virginia is going to kick Pitt's ass in the backyard brawl. That's how I feel.
Knew that was coming.
Yeah, we've got the backyard brawl that's going to be like everybody's going to own a part of that game. So
I feel like we've talked about West Virginia.
We're going to need to spend some time on that for sure.
We've talked about West Virginia or Schittsburg 3 weeks now.
Yeah, definitely Pittsburgh. I mean, we've had them every freaking week.
Good. There's no denying that.
Yeah, I mean, for DFS, they've been solid.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, the offense is definitely much more up tempo than we're used to seeing. So we'll go game by game. Just the overall look at the slate. Oklahoma State Tulsa is a 62.5 total. West Virginia Pitt's a 62. Those are the two highest totals on the slate, which means Oklahoma State has by quite a bit the highest implied team total at 40. Both Pitt and West Virginia are over 30. You've got some other teams that, like Missouri is a 30, almost 34. Oregon's a 33. So you got some other teams in that range too. But there's definitely only a couple games that really stand out. Washington State, Washington is another one that stand out as both sides. We might get some exposure to them. So we'll start here with Memphis and Florida State. This is going to be a pretty quick one for me. I don't have a lot of interest. I'm not playing anybody on this Florida State team. Just hate what I've seen out of them, as everybody does so far this year. Memphis, Mario Anderson looks like the best overall play, maybe a Rock Taylor, but I'm probably staying away from this game, even though 54 total. Florida State at a 30 implied seems just crazy to me. But any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, it's definitely sneaky. I'm personally not playing in my single or 3 entry. If you have a strong stand, can maybe get interested on the Memphis side with the Tuafali guy. But other than that, I'm not risking it in my single and 3 entry max there.
I agree with that. I don't even know. Does college football do 150 max or is it a max? I don't know.
I think it's 150.
Okay. I mean, it's still 150, but the 30 implied total, you have to at least touch it, on a few lineups. But, I mean, I'm not. I just was looking. I can't believe DJ, whatever his last name is, only has 1 passing touchdown in 2 games. He was 3 years ago, he was like this QB god, wasn't he?
He was supposed to be, yeah.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah, he's definitely been brutal to start the year, to say the least. So I think I'm good on this one. I'm not touching probably either side. Just seems like a under spot of 54 for me is all I could really get behind probably in the betting side of this one. Oklahoma State, Tulsa. This is a pretty important one that we need to talk about. Oklahoma State's an 18-point favorite, 40 implied total for them. You've got Ollie Gordon. You've got Brennan Presley, who's one of the most targeted receivers in the country so far this year. You got Rashad Owens and Stribling in the mid-5s. I think all those guys are somewhat in play. I guess the question to me is, can you play Ollie and Presley together? I think that would be the main question that I would pose, because I definitely think you can play either one, and I probably want one or the other. I think in my main lineup, I would want one or the other, but you play them both together would be the question. Thoughts?
I mean, if you're saying that, then you kind of got to get to Bowman and make a decision with your other QB there, because the guy above him, the Mateer guy from the Cougars, coming in with a lot of ownership. People are going to be on him. I have Bowman in right now for my placeholder. So it's kind of a tough decision, but yeah, I mean, Bowman, Gordon, Presley, Stribling. I mean,
Well, I feel like if you play Bowman, you're not playing Ollie. I don't think those two ever play together personally.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
I just think if the touchdowns are coming through the air at his price, it's hurting him enough. It's hurting Ollie enough that I don't think I could play those two together. But I mean, you can definitely make a case to play the passing game stack.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Tulsa on the other side. I mean, from what I remember, I haven't watched a Tulsa game, but they're up tempo, fast paced offense, so they could get in a shootout where I could see, Bowman, Gordon, Presley coming into play. But no, I definitely see your point in lineup construction with that. It'd take a lot for that combo to be the opto, but it's not out of the question in this game. The Benjamin guy on the other side is definitely very much in play. I don't know anything about this Kirk Francis guy yet, but 22 implied points. I mean, it's kind of a good run back spot with Benjamin, but I think I'm just one-sided on this one and get different with the rest.
I agree. 22 is not enough points for me. There's other guys in that tier that you can play that have more play on the Tulsa side. And I was going to say that about Bowman. You got to play Bowman and one of the wide receivers or both, and leave Gordon out of it, or just play Gordon by himself. If you happen to fall on one of the wide receivers, then okay, that's fine. But
yeah, I think Benjamin. He was one of the ones in the first look that I ran through last night. That was really interesting to me. 7 and 10 targets the first two games. We like the other side quite a bit. Like you said, they are implied for 3 touchdowns, 30% target share. He's already got a couple touchdowns through the first 2 games. Francis, I don't know really a whole lot about him either, but seems fine enough for the volume to run back on that other side, especially if you're playing like the Bowman. Especially if you're playing Bowman, I think that if you're stacking the passing game, I think there's where the run back comes in. If you're playing Ollie, you're playing more for a Oklahoma State out in front, up by quite a bit, or maybe within a couple touchdowns, and kind of feeding him the rock. So I think you would want the run back for sure if you're playing like Bowman, Presley, and one of the cheap receivers, double stacking them for sure. Bama and Wisconsin is next, 49 total. Bama by 16 is the line. I don't have a ton of interest in this game, really. I think Milroe is fine, but he's 10K, which makes it a little tough. I mean, he could break any slate really with his rushing upside. The running backs are just too highly priced for Bama. Jeremy Bernard and Ryan Williams, I think, are decent. More so Ryan Williams if I was taking a shot on one or the other. I've played Prentice a little bit too, but none of these guys get loads of targets just because it's a low volume passing attack with Milroe. So if you were playing one of them, it would be Ryan Williams for me. On the other side, the only guy I could even think about playing would be Will Pauling. 5,100 for a big target share, 9 targets a game through the first couple. And Van Dyke is, at least decent as far as volume, but it's really just a volume floor play at 51. I don't see much upside in that one. Anybody here you guys have jumping out at you?
Offense ever. I mean, Milroe, yeah, sure, he could break a slate easy. 4 rushing touchdowns, fine. One I'd play.
Me, Van Dyke, Ches are out. The only interest I'd have on the Wisconsin side is definitely Pauling. Bama, Milroe, that expensive price tag. I'm not going to start my lineup with him at all. Running backs, it's kind of a committee, so I'm off of them as well. And, kind of fall in line with you, Dane, again. Wide receivers, but how much are they going to have to pass versus Wisconsin with that rushing attack? If you can get the running back right and you have a strong lean, I wouldn't be opposed to going to them. I mean, I don't think they're too highly owned either. So if you get one of them right and they get, that 100-yard game with a touchdown or 2, it could get you there and be different from Ollie.
Yeah. Yeah, Pauling looks like he's going to be the most owned overall in the game. Nobody else is even getting touched, it doesn't seem like.
And makes sense.
Yeah, it's really just the price tag. I usually hate those types of plays, though. That it kind of, 5,100. Yeah, it's a good price, but going up against Bama, all you're hoping for is, what are you going to get? 7 for 70, and hope that's probably enough for like a cash game, but it's not enough for tournaments on a big slate like this. So that's really all I've got there. We can move on. LSU, South Carolina. You've got LSU as a 6-point favorite. DOB, I know you like this one. I'll let you lead off with it. But there is one play, and I have him highlighted on the South Carolina side that we'll talk about for sure.
Yeah, I was kind of talking to you guys earlier. I had a little bit of a stand on it. I wasn't impressed with LSU last week with USC. Going into William Bryce Stadium, it gets noisy, it gets rowdy. Us down here in South Carolina, going to make some noise. I kind of like an upset here. From a betting standpoint, I would take the points. A little sprinkle on the money line. Value play, I like Sellers, love Rocket. And this Nick Harbor guy, he hasn't done jack shit, but there's got to be a game where they try to get him involved. Just tell him to go deep. He's going to outrun everyone. He's got world-class speed. So like him as a super value punt. When he has a big game, it'll be a slate breaker. Then the other side, I'd kind of interested in the Nussmeier guy and pairing him with, the obvious with Karen Lacey, but it definitely spreads the ball around a little too much to target one guy. If I was pairing them, I would look for the value more, but overall, I'm not going to get there on that side. If I was doing a 20 max, I would definitely have interest on LSU. But Rocket is the play from the SC as you have highlighted there for us.
Yeah, I think he's definitely in play. Volume's been there through the first couple And I'm not really scared of LSU from what I've seen for sure. I can get behind that. Josh, any thoughts on this one?
Only it's going to be a great game to watch. I'm not fan.
Yeah, should be all right. I don't know how much I really buy into this Sellers for South Carolina. I mean, he just seems like a pure runner to me. So I don't know really how I feel about him in general, but you
At
could play
6,200.
him too. He's cheap, so
Yeah, I mean, at 6,200, he allows you to get spend ups on other places that we like. He's definitely worth a flyer.
But 50% pass completion, only 37 passing attempts. I mean, in 2 games, that's not a lot.
Well, the game that he played versus Kentucky, it was kind of an ass backward game, right? It was weather shortened, I think, or interrupted. So the flow of it, and I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I don't know who they played the first week, but I'd 6,200. I played worse.
Yeah, I think we all have, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, so Kentucky, they won 31-6, and last week doesn't kind of sell it at all, but Old Dominion Monarchs, they barely won 23-19.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have big expectations for South Carolina coming into the year, but
no,
they've got a couple pieces, and if they're going to win, it's going to be ugly. So that for DFS wise, that's just why Sanders would be in play under 5K for that volume. Really,
game days there, right?
Are they really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they are.
Oh wow!
So that makes me a little bit more interested. They know something. I think McAfee had his show there today too. So
I personally think it's going to be a great game to watch. That's a noon game, right?
Yeah.
Like watch watch my Mountaineers. It'd be great.
So a little different, interest in the less favorite side, the Dogs down here in South Carolina. So, all right, move on to Missouri and Boston College now. There's a little bit of a blowout potential here. Maybe.
Yeah, so you've got 14.5-point favorite. That line was one that came down slightly. It was around 16. Didn't move through any key points or anything though. So Missouri looks to be in a good spot here against Boston College. You got Brady Cook, a little too highly priced for me. Burden is always in play, but he's 9K. That's kind of tough. The backfield for Missouri is probably where the interest comes in. And the ownership here is quite interesting to me. Noel seems to be the lead guy. He's gotten most of the initial drives and carries in the game, and Carroll, even though it looks fairly close, his carries have came kind of late in when the game was already pushed away. So there's definitely the lead guy here is Noel. I think they're close enough that 41 versus no ownership is something if you were mass multi-entering in this type of game. But overall, Noel is just way too cheap at 56. So I think I'll have some exposure to him. On the other end, I think you could play Castellanos, who's going to be a runner, kind of like Sellers. He doesn't throw it a whole lot. He's been a little more efficient than Sellers. We'll say that. And you're probably not pairing him with anybody. You could maybe with Bond, who's got a big target share in the small amount of attempts that they have through the year, but he's only getting about 4 targets a game. So you're really just playing Castellanos for the running, which is probably where I would leave it. Those are probably the only two that I would even consider for single entry in this game. Is is very fringe Castellanos, and then Noel's firmly in play, one of the top running backs at his price tag.
I was just getting ready to say, the more you talk about Noel, the more I'm trying to okay, I have to remember to play him tomorrow for sure. Gotta lock him in at least one of my 2 lineups. Have to.
Yeah, I think so for sure.
Just because he's an ex-WV Who guy?
Honestly,
Is he really?
I didn't even know that. Is he really?
I don't know. I thought he was.
I thought he came from somewhere else.
Yeah, I can't keep track of all these transfers, but Missouri, why are they 16.5-point favorites? Isn't Boston College undefeated as well? Or did they lose last week?
Yeah, they're undefeated, but they beat Florida State. And I don't know
Syracuse?
who the other one was.
Did they play Syracuse last week? Or
I don't think so.
But all right, I'll look it up here in a second. But Missouri's only played Buffalo and Murray State. So those are pushovers.
Yeah.
That's 16.5-point favorite there. I don't know about it. Yeah, they are. Boston College played Duquesne and then Florida State. So Bill O'Brien at Boston College and 16.5-point favorites on the road. I don't know. I like the Missouri side, obviously, but Boston College just doesn't have any standouts. There's a lot better spots, but betting wise, I kind of like the points here. Missouri hasn't been tested yet. Boston College definitely has. I like the points on the road. So that's kind of just some thoughts there from me.
Your explanation leads me to want to take the under.
Maybe.
That's what I got out of what you said.
I don't have a strong lean on any of it, the points wise, but you guys already talked about all the players. I was thinking betting wise. I like the points.
Yeah, I could go under here. Because you're playing Noel and Castellanos. If you are, those are for the running. So, I think you could definitely do that. That's all I've got in that one. It looks like interesting to me that Brady Cook is pulling even a little ownership because none of his receivers are, and I don't know how you're playing. I know he's ran 3 touchdowns this year so far, but against junk teams, but you're not playing Brady Cook without a receiver, in my opinion.
Luther, I don't know what his injury tag is, but he definitely can break slates. We've seen that last year.
Yeah, we'll look at our stack tool here in a bit, but I can't imagine an $8,500 Brady Cook and a $9K Luther Burden are rating out very well at all. So
no,
we'll move ahead. We got Tulane, Oklahoma. Oklahoma 13-point favorite here, fairly low total, 46.5. Again, not a ton that I love here. There is some ownership being pulled for Brennan Johnson, who's only 4K.
Sneaky game again.
He's a good play. Jackson Arnold will probably not be very owned at all. He's 9,700, just too highly priced for me. Javonte Barnes and Sawchuk, they've been we've kind of been on Sawchuk, and it just kind of seems like they're a mess in the backfield. They don't have either one of them really have enough volume for me. But Barnes is only 51. If you're playing Arnold, then Deion Burks is 8K. He's had a 30% target share for this team. You can't overlook that. But he's going to be unowned. And then probably, like I said, Brennan Thompson, who's pulling some ownership at 4K, 20% target share. I think he's very in play. On the other end, I don't have a whole lot there either. Kai Hughes is getting actually some ownership, which I'm a little surprised.
He's a beast.
I don't know about the matchup.
Sure.
If he was completely unowned, I would like it. but he's not. But, he does have the volume here. For sure, he's pretty much all they've got now. So, yeah, what are your guys' thoughts on this one?
Kind of the same. Tulane just kind of put up a good fight against the team that's playing this evening, Kansas State. Mekhi Hughes is very good at football. You'll hear his name next year, I think, on Sundays. The other side, it's a sneaky game. I don't know the point total that Tulane and Kansas State had right off last week, but I think there was some points scored. So Tulane can kind of be sneaky. The OU side definitely can get there, but I'm not paying, like you said, Jackson Arnold, 9,700 is way too expensive. And then the running back by committee. So the only looks, I'd be on Brendan Thompson, which it looks like the field is. But Arnold, Burks combo there would be definitely interesting.
Yeah, I could see Thompson, but I wouldn't go out of my way to pick Burks, and you're not just going to land on somebody that's 8K. So for me, there's not much there.
Yeah, he's not a priority.
Yeah,
no. Yeah, something I like to look at now that I've got it up on the sheet for this year. Is with the player targets and rush attempts is, all right, are there any players that look like they have a big amount of targets, but there was one game that they didn't have any, and then there was one game they had a massive amount, and maybe it was just a one-time thing. Kind of similar to like this Theo Weiss for Missouri, who had 5 in their first game. Then he had 14. If you look at Oklahoma, Brennan Thompson had 6 both games. So his role seems pretty solidified there. So 4K is just too cheap. So I think he's definitely in play.
Mario Williams revenge game?
Yeah.
After leaving Oklahoma, went to USC and then here?
If he has somebody to throw it to him, yeah. I don't know much about this Mensa guy, but he is completing some passes, a good percentage.
Yeah.
26% target share. 6K is probably a little much for me. But,
yeah.
But yeah, if he was the 4K flat guy instead of Brendan Thompson, then yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So really, so far, there's not been a ton as far as just, we got to have this game,
Oklahoma State.
Yeah, it's really just Oklahoma State. So I think, and this was a thought that I had during the first look that I ran through yesterday and then earlier today as well. There's not, yes, there's some spots, but there's so many spots there's only so many spots. There's only a couple spots, and the ownership is condensing on them quite a bit. It's kind of crazy how highly owned some of these spots are going to be that we get to. And I think there are a couple where you can make a pivot later on here in the slate that I think we need to definitely talk about. But this is not going to be one of them in terms of the passing attacks. I don't think. No. There is some ownership coming in, and we're talking about Nevada, Minnesota. Nevada's a 17-point dog and a small total. Couple plays here that are getting some ownership. We'll start
Marcus
with Nevada.
Major.
Cortez Braham and Jaden Smith are both getting ownership. Interesting at 42 and 44. 27% target share for each, but they've got Brennan Lewis throwing them the ball, who has actually thrown it quite a bit through the first 3 games.
Well, they got to. They're always down.
True. Yeah. I always think of him as a rusher, and he is. He's ran it, 70 yards per game through the first 3.
Him and Lenoris there.
That could be an interesting one to look at Lewis and those 2 cheap receivers is in our stack tool when we get there. Like, I wonder if they're rating out decently at all, because Lewis is only 65 and he runs. And then if both of those receivers are rating out pretty well at 42 and 44, they could pop a little bit. I don't want to play it, but hey, we'll see what the numbers say when we get to it. Minnesota,
it's not
that's
bad.
high.
Actually,
It's not? Okay. Minnesota, Darius Taylor. This is a good one to use this rush attempts tab, because he came back after missing the first week and was somewhat eased in 14 carries. You got to think his role continues to increase. He took a big hit to Marcus Major, who went from 20 carries week 1 to 7 in week 2.
Wow.
I got to think that it's a Darius Taylor lead for sure. After what we've seen last week, he was involved in the passing game too. He's pulling quite a bit of ownership, but 6,200 is just too cheap. Let's take a look. I don't think of Nevada as a very good run D. They've been decent through 3 games, but I don't know who they've really played. And they've lost twice. So maybe they're not horrid against the run game, but I think Darius Taylor is just pretty good, to be honest.
Nevada's played Georgia Southern, lost 20-17, at Troy 28-26, and then SMU 29-24 loss.
Huh. So they've been pretty close. They've played a little better than I would have thought then. In those.
Braham Jr. 110, Smith 81, Braham Jr. 66 was in order from their first game to most current. So
yeah, they're getting targets for sure.
Game scripts there for a value stack. I think I found Dane's value stack.
I think we're gonna have to keep them on the fringe here.
Gosh. Here we go. Those prices allow you to do a lot.
I really didn't mean to bring that up before this game, and now we're talking about them.
Hey, that's how it starts.
Nevada was not on my radar before we just started talking through this. So, anyway. So that's really all I've got in this one. I don't like the Minnesota passing game. It's Darius Taylor or bust for me. You could do something like that. Play Taylor and then play the value stack in this game. I don't want to get too crazy with a 44.5 total, but like I said, there's only really a couple spots that really, really stick out from a DFS perspective here this week.
Yeah, and you said the ownership of Taylor was way up there. So, I mean, with that total and everything, I don't know if you want to do that.
Well, I think it's 14 carries in his first game of the year. I think that could even bump up a little bit. And he had 4 targets in the passing game. I think that's where that's going to come in. He's going to get near 20 touches in this game.
All right. We talked way too much about the Gophers and Nevada.
The Wolf Pack. You can't – our value stack, you cannot forget their mascot, DOB.
Well –
all right, another rivalry. Well, a rivalry game. We haven't got to the other 2 big ones yet. But Oregon's 17-point favorite against Oregon State, who is in like a conference that doesn't exist this year still. So that's interesting. Gabriel's 99. Tez Johnson's 85. Again, I have a tough time getting to these price tags, even though they're probably going to be solid as far as what they produce. It's just putting those 2 together is tough. The probably best play in this game, and it's not a high volume passing attack, but Trent Walker is only 4,400, and he's got half the targets in this offense so far for the year, which is just crazy. Again, I don't know a whole lot about Giovanni McCoy.
That whole side is just odd. I mean, you have 3 people that are getting all the shares of their offense.
Yeah, Hankerson and Jam Griffin are both averaging 20, right at 21 touches per game.
What a hell of a name is Jam Griffin.
I knew you were going to say something about that. I don't know why, but I just knew it.
I got to look at this. I got to look at the targets here.
The
you got
other side,
Trent
I think,
Walker 7 and 13, and then Taz Reddick's 2 and 6. There's no other receiver in that offense.
No. He's the only guy out there. I mean, what are the other guys doing? Blocking?
Yeah, man.
A half a
Running
target
sprints,
share?
I
How do you
guess.
get a half a target share?
You must be a beast.
Good night. Oregon.
Tez is
Dylan Gabriel. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to getting some of him. He's got to have that blow up game here, and then Evan Stewart would be probably my first click at the moment, just because of his upside and salary relief off of Tez. He's going to be the first click, I think. So I like some Evan Stewart, and we've definitely clicked on Traceon Holden. So a lot of receivers in play here. If Oregon is your main stack, definitely some double stacks here that wouldn't be bad with a Trent Walker running back that gets half the offensive shares. So
yeah, I think Evan Stewart's a solid call out there. Who did Oregon play last week?
Oh shoot. It wasn't anyone that good. Let's see here. Oregon.
It was a late night game. I didn't make it.
Yeah, it was Idaho, and they
played Boise last week.
Or Boise. Yeah, Boise
Dang,
State.
what?
Yeah, 37-34.
How and I didn't watch the game, so I don't know that if there was an injury or anything, but how concerning is it that Tez Johnson only had 2 targets last week in a pretty close game?
I mean, Boise State had, Genty that is like a Ollie Gordon. You got to play him on every slate now. He's shown it. And the Broncos had a good game script to shut down Tez. So, I mean, Stewart plays into kind of my call is, 112 in the high receptions or receiving yards.
Yeah.
So you can definitely have some fun with, trying to stack that game, and then your Nevada call there for value stack.
Daggone, I'm not gonna get off of this now. I'm gonna end up cornered into playing that freaking Nevada team. Oh God. I think the short version of Oregon for me is I think Stewart is at that price difference and I could look like with an egg on my face when Tez flips back to life here. But I think Evan Stewart's a really good option tomorrow. Like you said, that was a good call. That's all I've got here in this one. Trent Walker, top overall play in the game, then Evan Stewart. And if you want to play this, stack this game up, but it's kind of tough with the price tags on Oregon. Washington State, 5.5-point favorite for Washington.
Big game.
I think this is a really good one. 54 total here. You've got a lot of options. I think you can play on both sides. You've got Jonah Coleman, who came over from Arizona, 6,800. He's getting a ton of volume in this offense. He's going to be owned, but I think he's a good play. Giles Jackson has stepped into the lead role for them this year. 6,900 is good price tag on him. And Will Rogers, I'm not playing him by any means at 9,200, but what I was going to say is he's been around. I mean, he's not, a new guy who we got to worry about. Can he get the ball to these guys? I think he can definitely do it. And Denzel Boston at 64 would be the tournament option, who's got the touchdowns so far this year for them, and slightly below Giles Jackson in terms of target share and things. So
Best play in the slate is
Denzel would make.
Washington State.
Yeah, Washington State. They've got the running quarterback who can just absolutely smash Mater, we'll call him. I don't know exactly how we say that one, but Chris Hudson, 49. Man, those two together, they got to be – I'm not even looked at our stack tool, but that has to be like one of the top stacks together for sure because of the price tag on Chris Hudson. He's only 4,900, 30% target share through the first couple. Yeah, he's probably Hudson's a little too low owned, I think, at around 20%.
No, in cash games he'll be 90% owned. I mean, you just plug and play. He's one of those, like, he's going to get his volume and shares and, you know, potential for, you know, a slate breaker with this back and forth game that I think with the implied total and spread, I definitely going to have 100% shares of Chris Hudson there. So,
yeah, and I think when you look at quarterback, I think this Mater is one of the top three for sure. I'm only laughing at that because I got kids that watch cars all the time.
That's kidding me.
I kind of like a game stack of this. If Will's going to be that low owned with that projection, I mean, he can get you there in a back and forth game, and they're the favorites to get, you know, double leverage off of if everyone's going the running game, and they're going to be, you know, if they get down at all, I mean, it's only a 5-point favorite at home. It's not out of the question.
No, I like where your head's at. I didn't even look at that, but now he's that ownership versus the running back ownership. I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you're spinning up and going, you know, kind of in not uncharted territory. He is gaining a little bit of ownership out of the top three.
Let's even say
four. Yeah, four. He's barely owned. I mean, yeah. I got him highlighted on my sheet here. I'm looking at Dane's. He doesn't. So it was definitely gaining some interest with that total, the game strip. He could definitely be sneaky. So,
yep, I like it.
Yeah, so lots of goods here. I'm kind of like you. I lean towards the Washington State side because of the prices and the running ability of the quarterback. But Jonah Coleman and Giles Jackson, I think, makes sense too. All those this whole game, I think you could stack up for sure. Like you said.
I mean, this Kyle Williams guy. I mean,
he's been a stud. I mean, we played him quite a bit last year. He just really hasn't. You know, new quarterback, he's got the touchdowns. He just hasn't had the volume so far this year. Whereas Hudson's had the volume and only one of the touchdowns. So I think he's definitely in play. I'll highlight him as a tournament option at 7, just because we like this game so much, really.
Yeah, I mean,
I think the hard part is because he's priced pretty much the same as Presley, who has big volume.
Sure. Well, he's squeezed in between those two guys there that, you know, that's a solid.
It's crazy to talk through his stat line, though. 7 targets, 5 catches on the year, 3 touchdowns for Kyle Williams.
And is this ownership projection right? 1%?
Yeah.
I mean, I know he's $7,000.
It's because of who he's sandwiched between.
Yep.
Well,
yeah, I mean, that's not a bad call right there.
Yeah, it's high upside, low, you know, low percentage zone. You know, if that Mater guy is going to get, you know, 20-some plus percent. You're gonna pair
I'm going to
him
be putting Mater gifts in the chat tomorrow.
Mater with Hudson, and then for a double stack with Kyle, that could get you there easily, and then run it back with the Giles Jackson there.
Yeah, I like it. I think people are a little bit asleep on Kyle Williams.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They played a horrific Texas Tech team last week, and he only had a couple targets. But and then Portland State, they blew them out. I think he's a little bit suppressed to start this year here as to what he's going to be.
They didn't have to pass versus that team, so
no, yeah. All right, next one, Texas A&M, Florida. I don't have much here at all. There's not a whole lot of ownership going here at all. The only guy that I think I have any interest in is Montrell Johnson, who we've seen break big plays, and he is only 6,100, but he kind of has the backfield to himself. But Texas A&M is not a very good matchup, really. Anything here, guys, or you want to make this one quick?
Nah.
Yeah, make it quick. I'd be interested in the A&M receivers, if anything, if I landed on them, cool. But yeah, we'll get to Josh's leadoff game here next. So he's been waiting all night for it.
Josh stayed up to be on the show to talk about this game. So we got West Virginia Pitt, the backyard brawl, probably the biggest.
An elaborate breakdown now.
Probably got the best DFS game on the slate. Josh, we're going to lead it off. We need no West Virginia bias in this game on this show.
Are you kidding me? It's Pitt you talking about. I can't. What they're playing was I can't talk good about Pitt. You kidding me?
Hey, we've made you talk good about Pitt the last 2-3 weeks.
They weren't playing.
We might do so again. So,
dang, they weren't playing West Virginia, my friend. Okay, which way do I turn this? Come on, tattoo. They weren't playing West Virginia, my friend. Anyway, you need to highlight C.J. Johnson. He's going to have a monster game. Call it right now. This kid is going to go off tomorrow. I just have that feeling the kid's going to go off. I know that Jaheim White steals some carries. Was it 9 per game versus 13? But C.J. Johnson was injured a lot of the year last year, and he is going to go off. I personally I am going to stack in one lineup because I'm doing 2 tomorrow. I'm going to double stack this game because I'm not an idiot. You have to do it, right? Yeah, you have to play Pitt. I'm not stupid. I understand that. But I'm personally going to go Green and C.J. Donaldson as a stack on West Virginia. And then do the passing game for Pitt because they're going to be behind most of the game. So Eli with Mumfield, maybe Williams because he's a little cheaper. Just sure about that yet. I haven't looked that deep into their side yet. But personally, I love C.J. Donaldson. I'm agreeing with Donaldson in this game for Pitt. Is going to win 14, 107.
Yeah, so this one, I mean, don't get me wrong. Garrett Green's like one of my favorite DFS quarterbacks in the country. And anytime we get a chance to play him, this price tag is just wrong. 7,800 is just wrong. It's not the right tag in this spot. He should be at least in the mid 8s.
Oh, for sure.
With where they've got other people priced. So I think he's probably, again, he's in that top 3 along with Eli Holstein. The top 3 quarterbacks for me are Brandon Lewis, number 1. No, I'm just kidding. John Mater, Garrett Green, and Holstein are 1, 2, 3 in some order for sure. Green, the tough part with him is I always play him by himself because I can't ever think about getting these receivers right unless Josh
Yep.
can talk me into somebody here. I always
can't-
lean at Traylon Ray for whatever reason. I don't know why. But they spread it out so much, and it's not a big volume passing game either. So for this team.
Last year, I would lean towards Clement. Not, when it comes to passing game, I have no idea who they're going to throw the ball to. No idea.
Yeah.
No one does.
No. Kind of similar. I mean, Pitt is – they have – if you all haven't been with us over the last couple weeks, Pitt, of course, a new scheme this year. They pass it a ton, air raid offense, and that doesn't mean that the running back doesn't get involved because he's been absolutely just smashing. Had like 8 targets last week. DOB, I think your mic's like echoing a little bit or something.
Mine is?
Somebody, I don't know. Maybe not. So Reed was over 100 rushing and receiving last week. Gotta love him, even though he's going to be chalkier this week. 6,400. They just can't get his price tag up quick enough. They won't up it enough. And the passing game is pretty spread out.
Bartholomew is my favorite play.
Yeah, Bartholomew's had 5 targets each game. I was just looking at that. He's the tight end, I believe. So, I mean, he's solid, only 3,800. Him and Mumpfield would be the 2 favorites for me in the receiving corps.
Bartholomew is going to score tomorrow, and I'm going to text Josh and say, told you so.
All right. They can score
So
one.
I think you could do a little something here like a we've done it like all year. We've done Holstein, Reed, and a receiver. Last week I played Holstein, Reed, Mumpfield. I think you could do that again, or Bartholomew and play Green on the other side. I think that's probably fairly chalky. I don't know. Well, no, those receivers for Pitt aren't getting ownership again. Oh my gosh.
People
another
are
day, another dollar.
Rinse and repeat for the first 3 weeks of playing Pitt receivers and just move on with cash.
Look at Donaldson's ownership. I'm telling you, he's going to have a big day tomorrow.
Big day on the bench.
We'll see. I'm either going to get destroyed in the Reddit chat or y'all are going to be silent. One of the two. There's going to be no gray area.
I don't think I'll be silent after a few beers today or tomorrow.
Holstein's even not getting, I don't think, enough ownership.
None. I mean, people are tired of playing the same people each week. So
he's he's still the second highest owned quarterback. Green is going to be the most owned, and then him and Mater are kind of right there together.
Really?
But I don't think it's enough. I don't think 26% is enough for him.
Both of them are.
I mean, we got people playing Brady Cook, Riley Leonard. I mean, these people are over 10% owned. Like, what in the world are people doing?
Riley Leonard's going to probably not play.
Riley Leonard's going to get you like 4. So I don't know why you would play him.
He gets hurt every game.
Yeah. Yeah, so we love this game. Rinse, like you said, rinse, repeat on Pitt. And happy to get to play this West Virginia side, though, with Green because of that rushing ability that he's got. I don't think he's fully unleashed that so far this year.
We played terrible games. We played a nobody last week. You didn't get to see anything. Really.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is a really good one. Speaking of Riley Leonard, Notre Dame and Purdue, 47.5 total. Notre Dame's a touchdown favorite. That doesn't even look right. Hudson Card, 24 of 25 in their first game. Anyway, Riley Leonard and Notre Dame just don't seem like they're it. I don't have any interest in this entire game. Just
Nope.
seems like an ugly one. Unless you guys have a strong lean anyway, I'm staying away from it.
I mean, okay, hold on. Maybe Jeremiah 12 and a half attempts per game, 85 yards, maybe. You have the ball on him, but I mean, not this. It's a pure maybe. It's not even someone I would even try and plug in.
Yeah, I don't think I can do it. I think this is a big X for me.
Cross it off.
Yeah, cross that one off the end. So what we'll do here is I'm going to look at the stack tool, see if things have updated any from what I looked at the other day on there, see how great Nevada ranks out. Yes, thank God. Number 5. Here we go. Hey, at least we'll say for now I didn't look like an idiot talking about Nevada. But
5? They're number 5 now?
Yeah.
They were 6.
I just sorted it. I just moved them up.
The copy I made before the show.
Oh, I just updated the projections a little bit.
Yeah.
So we got number 1 in the stack tool is actually West Virginia. I think a lot of that is driven, and again, we're looking at double stacks, which I'm not going to do with West Virginia. But I think the reason of that is because of how high the projection is on Garrett Green and how cheap the receivers are is what's driving that. Right below that, you've got Pitt with Mumpfield and Bartholomew rating out the best, as we talked about. Oklahoma State, you got Stribling and Presley up there. Washington State with Chris Hudson in there. And then Nevada with the 2 cheap receivers. Oh, might have to do it. Any of the others that stick out to you guys? I'm trying to see if there's any that we talked about that rate out horribly, but we thought were all right.
Horribly? Horribly.
Not really anything we talked about.
No, I mean, still my favorite spot to get to is this Oklahoma State game. Just, I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be probably a 50+ point performance from the Pokes, and then that Nevada. It might be in play, Dane. Damn.
If you're going with it, Jack, Nevada might be the way to go. You're right.
All right. Let's give our off the board stacks. I'm going to go first. Nevada. I mean, you all can't take that from me. So
you guys know mine. I'm going Garrett Green, CJ Thompson. I know it sounds crazy, but that's what I'm doing.
No, that's off the board for sure. So you got the chalkiest quarterback, but you're pairing him up with you're kind of going after the rushing attack for that team. I don't hate that at all.
I'll go South Carolina with the freshman that has to have a blow up game. So if this is it, I'll look like a genius or a jackass. So
welcome to my side of the ball, Dan.
Lenora Sellers with Nick Harbor, and that's it.
All right.
I can just see Nick Harbor streaking down the sideline, wide open. Sellers overthrows him by 40 yards.
Sure.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
All right. Any last thoughts? We can, we don't do this a whole lot on this show, and I haven't looked at the night slate a whole lot, but we do have coverage for it and the late night. So just really quick before we get out of here, the top stacks on the late night. Oh, I love this. Maryland against UVA. We like to see that. And then Colorado, even with those high price tags, is rating out really well against Colorado State. So it looks like that game, we're going to like that for the night. Colorado State.
Can't wait to bet Colorado State.
Yeah, so any last thoughts on the slate?
I'm supposed to be unbiased, but it's backyard brawl week. Cheers, beers, Mountaineers, and eat shit pit.
But you're going to like the Steelers on Sunday, right?
Well, yeah, because that's how it works in West Virginia, Dane. We don't have a pro team, man. Come on. Different. It's completely different.
He's got some brain damage, Dan, as you know. So.
Well, I do. Yeah, of course I do. Come on, man. It ain't my fault. Well, technically, the epilepsy is my fault. Sorry's not my fault.
All right.
All right. Good luck to everybody this week. I'll have ranks for both the main and night slate up tonight before I go to bed. So join us tomorrow night. I'll have the NFL show. We'll see if either of these or both of these guys can join us for that. Probably around the same time, but that was a fun one last week. And then Sunday morning, Josh and I will have the NASCAR show as always. Got you covered for the entire weekend. Check us out. Links in the description of the video. We'll see you back next week.
Cheers, taters.